Now we get all the napkins up. Hold on. What the hell is on your neck? Oh, geez, Lord.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Riv after an exciting weekend of virtually nothing when it came to. I mean, I don't know. I'm waiting for these candidates to show up at some and
do something.
Tell us what they're going to do and who they are. And I don't know. They can reach out to us, but we'll try to reach out to them. But I mean, if you're a non-incumbent, I see signs every once in a while. I see an occasional sign for somebody whose name I've never heard of. I don't know who they are. I don't know what their platform is, who they're, and this is the thing. You want people's vote. You can't just stick your name on a ballot. I mean, and hope. I mean, yeah, that might work every 10 or 15 years after the city, burns to ashes and people will just vote for anybody except the incumbents who brought it there. But that's the problem with the people. Unless you motivate them to go out and vote for you, they're going to stay home until it's too late. And, I find this crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. And I think you and I were discussing earlier, there was a report of a stabbing of a 6-year-old.
Of a 6-year-old over at Zebra parking lot.
That's almost hard to believe.
It is. And the thing is, what's a 6-year-old not in school for? Shouldn't a 6-year-old be in school?
And what is a 6-year-old doing alone? Yeah, well, you're right, Jeff. It's not our job, but the we just want guys like you that are invested and try to actually educate themselves about the voter and about as be an educated voter, I should say, and vote for these candidates because you've vetted them a little bit. I mean, I know their promises, but the reality is that if you don't know anything about it, what basically you're doing is throwing dots at the board because you don't know anything about these people.
They're not even doing that. They're not even doing that. They're just taking a pencil and going, that one. Oh, yep, that one. Oh, that one. Oh, he's a nice guy. Boom. He screwed around with my wife when he was married. I'm not voting for him. Oh, wait a minute. I got a message about that, didn't I, today?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I also received a message today about political signs because Colin Dias came out and said that the city council should come up with a resolution to handle political signs so that they're not taken off the street by opponents. Well, guess what, Colin? There's already an ordinance on the books. And the ordinance on the books says that political signs shall not be less than 7 feet from the street, nor blocking a public way. So, regardless of what people thought about who did what to whose signs last week, which nobody should be taking anyone's signs down, if the sign wasn't 7 feet, contrary to Gabriel Amaro's statement that it should only be 4, it's 7 under ordinance. That's how it should be.
Well, again, but then we get back to a very, very critical point about. Um, I think when Coogan made that video and talked about the team, you have to be on the team. How do you expect to get anything if you're not a Democrat?
Right.
It's true. In these states, you don't get anything. It's like you don't get to be prosecuted. Uh, well, you're right. I mean, I can't. You can't. You can't. Yeah, it's 100% right, Justin. You. I mean, there's no arguing with that. What we've been complaining, all the time. This. I had a conversation this morning with Dan Robillard. I think most of you know Dan. Very, very
How's
astute.
Dan doing?
He's doing well. He finally got his new wheelchair after about a year. Or
I was
something.
gonna say it's been a while.
Yeah, and he was telling me, yeah, and I think it is kind of ridiculous, Stevie. But I can tell you one thing. I can tell you it is a Coogan sign on a night owl that doesn't comply with that regulation, but that'll never come down. But Dan was telling with Dan and I were talking about the fact that he's never seen an election that's so quiet.
I know.
And this is exactly what incumbents want. It suppresses the vote even more. And you're right. Nobody wants to run. Well, I think most of the people who would have run have moved out of the city. And the other problem is that they don't understand the correlation between electing new people and getting a change, because you have people in there now like Michelle Dion on the city council, Colin Diaz and Kevin Aguirre on the school committee, who are basically yelling in the wilderness. They can't get anything done. And there are a lot of people who really go, why the hell am I going to, I don't know.
I don't remember that one, but
It was probably on Facebook, Scott, and I don't do Facebook, as everybody well knows. I don't do Facebook.
you have better things to do with your life.
Yeah, exactly. Then tell everybody what I'm doing every 3 minutes. You know where I am Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, because we're on the show. But I don't know. But this is the problem. A lot of people go, why should I get on a council? Have two or three people that get outvoted by the Paul Harts, the Brad Kilbys, the Andrew Raposos, the Linda Pereiras of the council, who have been here for 30 years, and it's frustrating as hell. And I give them a lot of credit. I give Michelle, she fights the fight
Alone.
She fights the fight most of the time alone, and she really, really brings it. She does her homework, and she has humiliated some of these people so badly in front of a camera. But it's a frustrating thing for her to know that you're on the right side of an issue, that you're fighting for the people, and the people don't reciprocate by giving you some help. I hope at least they get to the polls and help her by keeping her in the city council, because believe me, I remember in the last election, in a previous election, there was a concentrated effort by the dark side. We'll refer to them as the dark side, like Star Wars. The dark side to get her out. You remember that, CJ?
Yes, I do.
We had people going down to the council, making a scene about her, and this is the problem, and that's the thing that bothers us. We've been in the game a long time. We got people angry for a recall, but that was a targeted kind of thing. But I don't know about these candidates. They just, I don't know. It's incredible. It's like I see a lot of signs for one guy. There's one guy that's got a lot of signs. The other guys have got sporadic. I've seen a couple of signs. I've seen some city council declared candidates that I haven't even seen a political sign for. And I can't, if you're going to run for office, just don't stick your name in there. I mean, like I said, if you're going to wait for people, because, that's the famous thing. People say, "Oh, I hear a lot of people that are that are really angry with Paul." That's right. But unless they've got some motivation to get out there, they're probably not going to get out, because unfortunately, the majority of the electorate are not self-motivated people. They're going to sit at home and go, what the hell's the use? We're not going to get any of these idiots out. Well, you won't if you don't show up. And, I see some Chris Peckham signs on, no taxes, no new taxes.
I want to see him pull that off.
Well, I'm sure he will. He'll vote against any new taxes. But like I said, if it's Chris and Michelle, it's going to be 7-2.
Right.
Most of the time. So but I mean, they need help. And the other thing is, Chris has got the advantage. He has been a city councilor, and when he was a city councilor, he did stand up for the people. He did go toe to toe with Coogan, especially during the total misuse of opera funds by this pathetic excuse for a leader. But so he's got that advantage. But still, I mean, 6,000 people. That's got 59,000 registered voters. 6,000 people. Yet, Paul Coogan did not get a 50%. Did not reach 50%. He got close, but he didn't reach 50. How can an incumbent, 3-term incumbent? I mean, when we took out Flanagan, he had gotten in for his third term by over 70%. Now, this guy in a primary should have dominated this primary, because, frankly, he was not running against a field that had been campaigning very vigorously or for a very long time. They hadn't gotten their message out sufficiently to the public. None of them did, unfortunately. So he should have buried them all, but he didn't. So that kind of is an indicator. But then a lot of people are going to look at that and say, well, 6,000 people showed up. Coogan's going to make sure he gives out 3,000 more jobs, and 8,000 will show up and he'll get in again. You may be right. You may be right. But that's not up to us. Steve, yeah, sometimes it's puzzling when I listen, because they advocate, they pick apart things. They show where everything is wrong about what they're doing, what is being done, and then they end up supporting it. In many cases, I don't see that. I mean, that has always been puzzling to me. That
what I find very interesting is that Sean Kadim always asks the right questions, as Stevie B has said, and then votes the opposite way. And A for effort, F for implementation.
And that's what counts.
Yeah.
It counts on how you.
Now, Cliff is asking the right questions, but is at least at a 50% margin of doing the right thing. So I have to ask myself, am I going to go half-hearted into this? I don't know.
Well, listen, this is exactly what they want. There's a whole bunch of old sayings that, the truth never fears investigation, that sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. Politicians hate to be put under a microscope, and it's true. This is why this is the perfect election for the worst numbskull we've ever had as mayor, Paul Coogan, a total clown that has no leadership ability at all, has never been out in front of any issue. And he wants this as quiet as a church mouse. They want people to just be, well, I don't even remember when the election is. That's not going to do any good. And the candidates are responsible for that too. They are not aggressively going after. I mean, this guy's got the worst record I've ever seen. I mean, I thought we had, we had a lot on Flanagan. The $8 million deficit, the storm water fee, the purple bag, Flanagan shenanigans, 37 different things. But this is pales by comparison to, look at Coogan. Tax rate went up in 23, 14.7%. Your taxes went up, property taxes went up. They've gone up every year. Our budget's doubled. Nothing has been accomplished. We still don't have a definitive answer on all the issues we've had in Fall River. John Perry, Malone, the head of security, all the other crap that's going on. No transparency. We don't know how many lawsuits have been filed. They categorically refuse to answer. This guy is a total train wreck. And nobody is out there kicking the shit out of him on his record. I just can't believe it. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, he blew $87 or $88 million in opera funds and didn't do anything except get lights for his pal and benches. He did nothing that really improved the quality of life for the people of Fall River. How in the hell can somebody not be out there kicking the shit out of this guy? I don't know. But this is what they want. It's like the Democrats now. The Democrats are all their hairs on fire. Comey's going to get, it's grand jury's going to bring Comey in. Oh, you can't do that. They actually had a congressman. It will go down a toilet. And I don't read calligraphy, but I can read some, but not all. But
that's not calligraphy. That's
what is it?
Japanese or Chinese lettering.
That's what that is. Calligraphy.
Is
Japanese? Japanese calligraphy. That's
okay.
There's two separate writing systems in Japan now. At one time, it was all calligraphy.
Yeah.
I have calligraphy hanging with my samurai sword, but I just, you look at this stuff and your mind is completely blown away when you see these things. And I mean, Coogan just, but that's what they want. But I was on the feds. They're complaining about Comey, but they did exactly the same thing. Oh, and they had a retired congressperson, that the guy that always cries. He used to cry. They put him on a J6 committee because he was such a rhino. Can't think of his name now, but he's a real piece of work because he's got like automatic waterworks. He could turn them on. He should have been on a soap opera. I mean, because he can cry on demand. And but he actually said in front of a camera, "Oh, we shouldn't be doing this. Oh, everybody lies to Congress. And they lie under oath, and we know it. We all knew they were lying to us." Well, you know something? You're the problem. Thankfully, you got out after you tanked your career by being a rhino on the J6 committee. You're the problem. You know why? You're right. And why are you right? Because people like you do not hold anybody accountable, just like Paul Coogan doesn't hold anybody accountable. Any department head, no matter how much money they blow, Kenny Pacheco, go down the line, nobody's ever held accountable. But if you're on the wrong side, if you're a Republican, now they're going to put you in jail. Well, that's the game. That's the game they play in Washington. They invaded Trump's home. But now, if you do that to a Democrat, the Democrat gets on wine. We can't do this. You're being we've got to defend democracy. These people are phonies. It's a big theater that they have here. It's pretty simple. People don't do bad things if they know there's going to be swift and severe punishment. If Congress ever held somebody accountable for perjuring themselves in front of counsel and made sure there were severe consequences, it wouldn't happen. But this is what you got, and shows how convoluted their logic is, that they actually go on TV and tell you we're full of shit. Everything we do is theater. It's all theater. We don't care. We're millionaires. We make millions of dollars on the stock market. We go home. We got security details. We don't care about crime. We don't care about housing. We don't care about anything except us and power. Everything's a giant show, like Jimmy Reese, the article I read you that was a political reporter for 30-some years. And when he said it's all a game, if both the Democrats and the Republicans were for democracy, we would not worry about democracy. If the Democrats and Republicans were both in favor of tax reform, we would have tax reform. This is a big game. It's like they play with each other in Congress and they run back to their respective corners and they get rich. And who's at fault? We the people. We keep them in office. Pelosi's been there since, I don't know. So I think she was there before they invented electricity. What did they have in Congress for lighting before electricity? I don't know in Washington. Were they using
whale oil
lamps? Yeah.
Whale oil lamps.
I think Pelosi's got some whale oil lamps in her house because she was there when they were using whale oil lamps. I mean, this is the problem. We've got the same Kinzinger. Thank you, Steve. That's cry on demand, boy. You're right. Yeah. The little sniveler. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, Kinzinger. Yeah. Well, we knew they're lying to us, but we're not going to do anything about it. Well, sorry, idiot. But yeah, and we've got the same here in Fall River. We had counselors that have been on there since whale oil days too, and they stay in there. And whose fault is it? They got bounced, but they come back. And they get elected. Because why? Because the people who don't pay attention, then they'll cry. Look at the school department. We got a few of the Malone. We got one of the last of the Malone cover-up is that's not running. Larrabee, but then one of them came back because Coogan ran over and said, you got to run. So we got one of them that came back after a one-term respite. But most of them took off because there was a lot of anger, but people got short memories, and therein lies the problem. You can't have a short memory in this game. You got to remember, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. I saved this from the primary. I got my little tag here. I voted. I'm going to get another one of these things. But let's try to get 15,000 people out. I mean, that's not a lot. I mean, it's not even. We're still going to have over 40,000 that didn't show up. But for God's sakes, get 15, 16, hopefully 20,000 people out. So I guess it's up to us, guys. We got to call all our friends and drag them to the polls or something. Yeah, there's another classic example, and like I said, and then they'll defend their idiocy, but it's baffling to me how you can't be angry enough to get. I mean, it's not like voting is like you're not preparing for the Boston Marathon. Nobody's telling you got to go out and run 15 to 20 miles every day to get ready for the Boston Marathon. You got to worry about being in condition, not getting an injury, and everything else. This is not hard.
I'll tell you now, Linda. Chip and I have long memories too. We got long, long memories.
Yeah, that's the problem. There are too few of us
That's right.
that have long
Or
memories
we've moved out of the city.
because most of the people. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. They got to the point where they said, and that was before Coogan. Now this city has deteriorated to a point I've never seen it this bad. But it was beginning to get bad, and they just bailed. As I said, when I got on a fire department back when we were riding dinosaurs into the station, over 90% of all the city employees lived in the city of Fall River. And if you screwed around and raised their taxes for no reason, and just did it all the time and did what these guys did, cover up stuff, you would have been out of there in a minute. Carlton Viveris was one of the most powerful mayors we ever had. His first election was pretty close, but after that, everything was a blowout. And yet, there were many, many, many times where Carlton did not raise the taxes, held the tax rates, because he knew he was in trouble. As strong as he was as a candidate at the time, he was an extremely strong candidate. But he would not dare, because we still had a lot of people that worked in the city of Fall River, and this is the problem. They took off. It's kind of like, in Boston. Most people who are at that lower to median income, they got out because they can't afford to live in Boston. So it left the giant wokey vote to control Boston. Boston's finished. Boston is not getting better. It's getting worse. It's one of the most expensive cities, if not the most expensive city. Look at I don't know how they bought off Kraft's son, but he dropped out of the race. Can you imagine a absolute useless mayor like Wu fundamentally running unopposed? She's made Boston the most expensive city. She had a segregated Christmas party. She blew hundreds of millions of dollars for her rich friends on a soccer stadium. She's a gold-plated phony. All she does is spend money on the illegals, like our governor. But how can you be running unopposed in a city, especially the size of Boston? Because the poor in Boston they're disenfranchised. They say forget it, and that's why they're not only running out of Fall River, they're running out of the state. I see a lot of for sale signs in Fall River now when I drive around, from homes that have been there for decades and decades. I mean, I drive a lot of the same routes all the time. I take the dog up for a walk once or twice a day. And up at BCC, she likes it up there. A lot of rabbit smells and deer smells and doggy smells. And but when I drive up that thing, I see, and I drive through the city all the time, and I see houses that I've driven by a million times, and they're up for sale now. I spoke to a woman at BCC a few years ago that I'd seen up there with her dog for years, and she walked. One day she walked up to me and said, "Well, I just want to say goodbye." She said, "What do you mean goodbye?" She says, "Oh, we're moving to Texas." I said, "What? You're moving to Texas?" She said, "Yeah, we're moving to Texas. I'm fed up with this place. So I can't take this state anymore." She said, I'm getting out of here. And then I know at least 5 or 10 other people that have moved to Florida over the course. They retired from their job and they moved to Florida. Yeah, and there are a lot of people that, right, you're right, Raymond. There's a lot of people that are trapped here. They're on fixed incomes and they've had their house paid for years and they can barely afford to pay for their house because they can't pay the taxes and the water fees and live in, and they're looking at that perspective. They have to take reverse mortgages to save their themselves and everything else, and it's a sad thing. And they can't move out because if you sell your house here, even if you get halfway decent money, wherever you move, housing is going to be just as expensive, if not more expensive, especially if you're moving to a nice area where you don't have all the problems we have, because that's where everybody migrates to, elevates the prices of houses. So how can an elderly person on a fixed income afford to uproot and go from Massachusetts to Texas and ship their furniture or buy all new furniture? They also leave all their family, and most of them have medical issues with their doctors here. I mean, it's a sad thing because I see that all the time because I represent the retirees, the municipal retirees. I see a lot of these people that are in this condition that have had their houses paid for decades and are struggling. I mean, I had the percentage of how many people we have that retired from the city of Fall River and made the mistake of living a long life, and because of the way the COLAs are structured, you end up making nothing. We have a large amount of people, a couple of hundred people, that are living on less than $12,000 a year for a pension. We have even more living on under $18,000. How can you live today? And the most you're going to get for a raise at the end of the year when they have a COLA, it used to be $360. Now it's $420. So you're going to get $420 more in your pension, and your taxes are going to go up $800. And but people don't want to. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I don't know. Are they filling this? Are they filling all these things? I still believe we're getting illegals in a lot of this housing, and they can't vote. But if the Democrats got them to vote, they'd vote, unfortunately, the wrong way. That's right. Yeah, that's right, Raymond. Them and veterans. And what irritates me even more is that our entire representative delegation in Boston voted against having a preference for affordable housing extended to veterans. And when that vote was taken, 2 out of the 3 reps were veterans. And that stuff like that bothers me.
Scumbags extraordinaire.
Yeah, it is. It's just, it's inexcusable. And we see what's going on. And this is the problem. I don't know what is going on. We never get any news in this city. CJ, you're telling me about a stabbing. You never see anything. And when it does, you'll never hear anything about it.
That's right. Well,
and
you know how it is. For every one stabbing, there's 6 people that haven't been touched.
That's right. That's the Coogan philosophy. Josh is out there. Remember, not everybody's got a bullet hole in their house. Only you. Right. You're just one of the few, so we don't care until we get the majority of houses in it. And then again, they change the rules, like in New York City. We're getting too many shootings, so what we're going to do is we're not going to count anything as a shooting unless they hit somebody.
Right.
So it's it's the corruption. And look at now. We heard about that. What did they euphemistically call it? You remembered. When they had that incident that required 2 Fall River police units to respond, lights going, sirens on, and I was and it was the beginning of the school day because I was in the line at
a disruption.
A what?
It was a disruption.
Disruption. Yeah. Well, what kind of disruption was it?
That's right. We don't know.
Well, let's classify it as disruption. Well, we all know that there was a report in New York City. There was an attempted murder that they were ordered not to report as an attempted murder, to classify it as a simple assault, non-felony, because that's what they do. So disruption. What kind of disruption? I mean, we got SROs in there. We have teachers. We have other people there that, I'm not saying they're supposed to be police officers, but the SRO are. But we have some people there that, I mean, when I went to school, we didn't have police officers in the school, but if there was a fight in the hallway, the teachers would break it up.
That's right.
If there was a quote unquote disruption, the teachers would intervene. The janitors would intervene. And then we'd be in deep doo-doo, because then we were going to get a lot of punishment. Not today, but the quote unquote disruption to the degree that 2 units had to be removed from protecting the city of Fall River to respond to our high school. Nothing about it. If I saw the 2 units responding, I was in New York Bagel in the line waiting for my bagel, and there they went. And it was right after the beginning of school. So this is the kind of, we can't have a city like this. And remember, 6 years ago, Coogan ran on transparency. We don't know anything about anything. This is the way they want it. And from now till November, we won't hear about anything. And after the election's over, and heaven forbid he gets elected, then here comes the retribution.
Do you remember when the Business for Better Business Parking, BBP, which was owned by Murray Kozinitz and that group of people?
Stewie Kozinitz, yes.
Stewie Kozinitz, yes.
Stewie, yes.
Transferred, after Stewie Kozinitz died, transferred that property back to the city, and the city council said, yes, we'll take it. They waited 7 years before assessing those garages. 7 years. And now, $13 million in repairs. And they just got that report. $13 million in repairs. Alphonse Hathaway turned around and said, for $13 million, they can knock the garage down and build a brand new one. And he's right.
Yeah, that's what they want to
doesn't
do.
take care of anything.
Well, listen, we're the city that found the building that we lost.
I know.
So, I mean, yeah, most kids don't. You're right, Ray. They don't have any. They don't have any respect. There was, I mean, you see what these people do, and it's incredible. And they flaunt it. I mean, the old days, the good old days, when you have to have respect. If you came home and said that the teacher, well, in those days we still had corporal punishment. When
I remember it.
They broke a lot of rulers and pointers on me. I can tell you. I was not one of their, I cost the school department a lot in pointers and rulers, because they broke a lot on me while I went to school. And but if I would have went home and told my father that the teacher that took me into the broom closet and broke a couple of pointers over me, I would have got another smack, and he would have went, well, you must have done something wrong.
That's right.
Same thing with the police. When we used to walk up Pleasant Street when we were kids, and a police officer we would be raising a little bit of hell. A police officer might give one of us a boot in the ass. And if I went home and told my dad that it was that a cop put put his foot in my derriere, I would have got another one, because in those days they respected the teachers, they respected police, and we were taught to respect them, because if we didn't, we get it from home. Now, if you go home and said the teacher called me, the teacher said that my homework wasn't sufficient, they want the teacher fired, and they want and they want a court case levied against her. Unless you're in with the administration, then they just cover it up and pay you off. But that's another story. But this is what happens. The same thing with the police. Now, if the police do their job, they're always under the gun. It might be a lawsuit. Oh, he twisted his arm a little too much, or we're gonna take a guy that choked somebody on the subway that was threatening everybody in the car, and everybody in the car said he saved their lives because the guy was nuts. Unfortunately, the guy died. He held the choke a little too long. They took him in. Then you get somebody who burns a woman to death on a subway, and I still don't know what happened with that case, because he was an illegal. Burned somebody to death on a subway. This is the society that these blue states have created. They allowed over 500 riots in the summer of love, while January 6th is still the Democratic talking point. A bunch of yo-yos wandering around in the Capitol, and they talk about all the carnage and shit like that. Well, yeah, I'm not saying it was right. They were wrong. But yeah, you're right. That's why we have a hard time. But the reality is, the only real person that was hurt in that was the female veteran, unarmed, who was shot by a Capitol police officer who was hiding behind a wall like a coward, and who had already been censured for improper use of his firearm once before. And they made it worse by giving the guy a medal. They made him into a hero. This is what the Democrats do. Like Jimmy Kimmel, he's a hero. Disrespecting somebody who was killed, assassinated. Lying is part of their DNA, just like Paul. That's why he's a great Democrat. He is part of the team. The only guy ever sort of lie more than him is Adam Schiff. But this is the problem you got. And no more respect. You guys hit it right on the head. There's no more respect anymore, especially in these states. In other states where they're being held accountable, you see a far different scenario. I know a few guys that moved to Florida, and they told me, look, I'm not pretending there's no crime down there, but there is punishment down there. And the crime's not as bad. Because no matter where you go in the world, well, that's probably 50% true now, except now the school committee's not afraid of anyone, because they do whatever the hell they want, and they don't even let you speak. Because no matter what goes on, no, you're right. When Charlie Kirk, you're right, Jeff. What did they do? They did something that's horrific to some of these Democrats. They prayed. They celebrated his life, and while the Democrats lied like hell and said he was, all the names, but I watched Kirk a few times debating. He'd call anybody up to the microphone that disagreed with him. Matter of fact, he invited people who disagreed with him to a microphone, and he would debate them. He didn't advocate for their murder. And now Colby College in Maine, because they've destroyed Maine. That's what happens when wokies flee the states that they ruined by making it too expensive to live in their states, like Massachusetts and New York. They flee to southern Maine. Maine was once a red state. Now it's not. It's purple, leaning on blue. Because southern Maine is like 90% Democrat now, because they all ran to Maine because the cost of living's lower. But Colby College, which is a fairly well-known college, They actually had a group on Colby College that took a sign that said, you should never be, you should never use violence against people you disagree with, that you should not be killed for having a different opinion. And they crossed out, you should never, because they said that basically everybody that has a different opinion than them should be killed. This is on a college campus. This is what they believe in. And I think a high percentage of these young radicals in college believe that anybody with a different opinion than theirs should be killed. Look at these shootings. The mainstream media does everything to cover it up. Well, there's not really any motive yet. The guy carves anti-ice on the bullet casing, but there's no motive. The other idiot says, "Catch this fascist who killed Charlie Kirk." Well, the motive isn't. I could be just a love. He loved them so much. It was somebody that was mentally. No, he said, "Catch this fascist." We have a problem in this country, and unfortunately, I think it's not fixable, because what are you going to do with somebody that's so brainwashed? They think that if you have a disagreement, they are totally authorized to kill you. As a matter of fact, they'll celebrate it. There's a problem. Serious problem in the country. And this is and they can say all they want about the MAGA right fomenting violence. It's them that foments violence. Like I said, there were 500 riots that they turned their head. Oh, they're mostly peaceful. Will it be peace in the Middle East? And at least never. Sorry. Temporary, maybe yes, but never permanent. I don't think it's a possibility, and I am very familiar with the culture. There will never be peace. There will never be peace in the Middle East as long as there are people, because they have. Remember, this isn't something that's going to go away because somebody signed the peace accord. This goes back to the Middle Ages. There was no peace in the Middle East when the Crusaders went to Jerusalem for 400 years. There was no peace with the Middle East, like I said, for 400 years in the Middle Ages. The Crusaders went there. You can't defeat it. There are differences that are never ever going to be settled with a peace accord, because it is not a political issue. They can say that as long as they want to.
It's a religious issue.
It is a religious issue.
That's right. It's a religious issue.
It is a religious issue.
Yeah.
It is, as the radical Muslims that live by Sharia law kill each other all the time. In the absence of Christians and Jews to kill, they kill each other. You don't realize that the Shiites and the Sunnis are still killing each other in the absence of somebody else to kill over their own. They're still arguing over their own religion. So when your religion preaches that they either have to be like you or dead, there's never going to be long-term peace there. I mean, until maybe what Linda said earlier, until the great reckoning, when the world comes to an end and we all see what happens, then maybe we will know what the story is going to be. But as someone who grew up in that culture, with that culture, not in it, but with that culture, and somebody who has a very, very clear knowledge of it. My mother was in, well, it wasn't Lebanon then, but it was Syria during the First World War. And they used to hide her in a chicken coop every time the Turks got close, they'd hide all the babies and women wherever they could. So I know about how deeply there was a divide in those countries, and so, and it's a fact. It's not. This is not fiction. They don't make this stuff up. I know. I had a parent who lived it. She was there. She lived outside of Beirut, and it was Beirut, Syria, in those days. It wasn't Beirut, Lebanon. Lebanon did not become Lebanon until 1929. And she came to this country in 1920. I think she left on a boat in 22. She may not have got here until 23. But so I have an intimate knowledge of the reality of that situation. These, the people in this country who think they know what the hell's going on.
Our pleasure, Betsy.
Our pleasure. But let's it's a horrible thing. I'd love to see peace in the Middle East, but what I want to see is peace in America. I want to see these people stop killing each other. Listen, you want to have a good old fist fight? I'm in. Let's set up a bunch of cages, a couple of boxing rings. You want to beat the crap out of each other, and then maybe shake hands because you get some respect for each other, like in the old days. Go out to the schoolyard and have it out. Let's do it. But this stuff is just unacceptable. This country's never gonna heal. You can't have people in this country, especially young people that are supposed to be intelligent, they're in college, being brainwashed that it's okay to murder people that you don't agree with. Half of the people on the planet would have to shoot themselves because sometimes after we do something, we don't agree with what we did. So it's unacceptable.
While we have a lull, one of our regular viewers and many times a participant, usually on the YouTube side, Amy Blanchett, suffered a medical emergency yesterday and was found unconscious in a retail store. She was taken to, I believe it was Rhode Island Hospital. So please think about her, send your good vibes and well wishes. And if I get any more information, I'll be more than happy to share it with our viewers. Amy's a wonderful woman. She's done a lot of work in Fall River, and she did a lot of work for the Flint. So remember that.
Just keep her in your thoughts and prayers. It's true. But as far as a Christian from Palestine, that's the problem. That's the reason Lebanon was created at one time. Lebanon was for the Christians that were in the area. It was not for the non.
There's an idea, Chip.
You're right, Justin. That's what I said. I always said that. Listen, I've been training. I've trained a lot of MMA guys and boxers in my time. I knew. I was very close friends with Nero Farias, who started the PAL in Fall River. And that's the way we used to do it in the old days. And after that, you get some respect. I've seen guys who hated each other. I've seen professional boxers who, before the fight, they were at each other's throat, and then they go 12 rounds. And at the end, they hug each other, and they got a newfound respect. They may not agree, but they got some respect. And this is what's missing in the society, But the Christians in the Middle East have been squeezed out. I mean, at one time, Lebanon was created as a state for the Christians, and now Muslims have taken over Lebanon. They have for a while, and Hezbollah is headquartered in Lebanon, and that used to be fundamentally a Christian country. It was created to make it. It was carved out of Syria, and Justin. Actually, I was pretty good friends with his father and him, Paul Morissette, that did the Golden Gloves. I mean, I worked with his father on a fire department. And I went and I knew Paul very well, and I knew his father very well, and
Paul Morissette.
That's it. That's it.
Immaculate Conception Church.
Well, Justin's a boxing fan, so I'll tell you, as Teddy Atlas once said, the boxing ring is the chamber of truth. You can run your mouth all you want, but when you lace the gloves up and you get in there, you got to cash the check with your ass that your mouth wrote, and sometimes a lot of people can't do that. So
that's it. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. It's definitely been a great show, and it's always a pleasure to spend time with you. Have a great day, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great day.